and a former political advisor to Senator Mitch McConnell. Corey Elans is also with us, a former communications advisor to President Obama. Welcome to both of you. So, Scott, what do you make of the steps that the president has taken so far to try to restore jobs in this country?
Well, he's responding to what the people want. I've not seen a survey in the last several years in which jobs and the economy wasn't the number one issue. And I think for the last 8 years, we've had an administration that's openly hostile to job creators. They've assumed that if you're doing well or making a profit, that you must be cheating someone. And so the hostility in our taxation system and in the regulatory regime was saying to job creators that we don't agree with what you're doing. So now we have a new attitude from the White House, and we have a new set of policies coming down the track that we think is boosting attitudes and boosting confidence in the American economy.
Corey, we noted earlier that you worked for President Obama, but I understand you like part of what Mr. Trump is proposing.
Well, I'll say it this way. As President Obama was leaving the White House, he urged us to wish for a successful presidency for President Trump. And if that means adding to the 15 million jobs that were created under President Obama and the record 75 months of private sector job growth, I'm all for that. And anybody around the country who supports the president is all for that. So we need to build on that success. But free market economists right now, they're a little bit confused because on the one hand, President Trump is using the same old tactics we've seen before with tax cuts and reducing regulation, which we know doesn't work, while at the same time he's poking his finger in the chest of businesses across the country and saying, you need to create more jobs or else. I'd be very curious to know if the real Donald Trump, the businessman, would respond to President Trump in the way that he wants him to, enforcing people to create jobs. So there's a lot of confusion right now. He has an opportunity to do big things when it comes to jobs and impact the people who need it most. But right now, he's just tinkering around the edges.
Scott, President Trump obviously is, talking about, well, he's canceled TPP. He's threatening to renegotiate the NAFTA agreement, although some suggest he wouldn't be able to do much there. At any rate, free trade is normally a bedrock principle of Republican conservatism. Is this president not pleasing the rest of the party, or in getting, making these threats and canceling agreements, is he going straight for the voter?
Well, I think a lot of people in both parties thought the TPP was not negotiated properly to begin with. So I think you can have free trade, but you can have better deals, and I think that's what he ran on, just the concept of having better trade deals than what was negotiated in the TPP. But all of his actions speak to the heartland. The pipeline issue, which is a no-brainer, Obama's intransigence on that really hurt Hillary Clinton in the election, and it speaks directly to the people who elected Donald Trump. They don't understand when the federal government steps in front of automatic job creation, because that's what they tell us they want. So I think on all these fronts, he's being responsive to the political base that elected him, and he's being responsive to the middle of the country. They want the government out of the way so folks can go to work. And we're hearing that out of union leaders who also wanted the pipelines signed off on when Barack Obama was president. So I actually think in doing some of these things, he may be scrambling the political order that we've seen line up inside of both parties over the last few years.
Yeah, Corey, he took pains to point out that 28,000 jobs, it is estimated, will be created with the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline that he is now trying to revive.
And that's fine, and if that happens, that's great. But we need to take a look at the opportunities that he has right here in his own backyard, and his new backyard is here in Washington, D.C. He can continue to poke his finger in the chest of businesses across the country. We can wonder about what businessman Trump would say to President Trump and his threat to create jobs or else. But he has the capacity to work in a bipartisan fashion with Republicans and Democrats on what he says is the number one issue, which is infrastructure. Rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our airports, our highways all over the country. The Democrats this week put on the table exactly what he requested, a $1 trillion infrastructure bill that he can get on board with. We know that Paul Ryan and the Republicans are considering that now, but this is something that he needs to talk about today, because we need to govern in a bipartisan fashion. But in my time here in D.C. on the Hill in the White House, if you want something to work, you need to work in a bipartisan fashion in order to get it done.
We spent $813 billion back in 2009 on that so-called shovel-ready project infrastructure package that President Obama signed, and even he later admitted there weren't as many shovel-ready projects as he thought there'd be. It didn't seem to have a huge effect.
Big difference, John.
Yeah,
right now, big difference, John. The difference is during that time we were digging out of a ditch. 750,000 jobs a month we were losing when President Obama came into office. Right now, President Donald Trump has a really nice step stool to stand on and begin creating jobs and continuing the trend of job creation that began under Barack Obama.
Right.
16 million jobs, 75 months of consecutive private sector job growth.
Scott, final thought.
Well, I think when Democrats hand you a piece of paper that says they want to spend $1 trillion, be very afraid. We heard this song from the Obama administration at the beginning of Obama's term. We spent, as you pointed out, hundreds of millions of dollars on what was supposed to be infrastructure. We got very little infrastructure and a lot of pet projects. So I think what they put on the table needs to be scrutinized, because we've been down this road with the Democratic Party before, and they sort of pulled a bait and switch on us. And I have confidence that President Trump, Paul Ryan, and Mitch McConnell will heavily scrutinize any infrastructure deal to make sure we're getting roads, bridges, highways, and things we need, and not pet liberal projects, which we got before.
All right, gentlemen, we will continue to monitor all of these programs as the president moves forward on them. Thanks very much, Scott Jennings, Corey Elons. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Speaking more about the new administration, President Trump's election could have a big impact